Hey, I'm John Cannell, and today on Preppy Kitchen we're making some delicious copycat Lofthouse cookies. So let's get started. Into a large bowl, I'm adding 2¼ cups or 270 grams of all-purpose flour. It's really important to not add too much flour because that'll give you a bready, dry cookie. Half a teaspoon of baking powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, so get everything nice and puffed, half a teaspoon of salt for some contrast, and to make our cookies very tender, I'm adding in a tablespoon of cornstarch. Grab a whisk. Our scale's done, and we're gonna mix this up. By the way, if you like my videos, hit that subscribe button. There are 2 new recipes every single week. Nice and mixed up, so grab another big bowl and your hand mixer or your stand mixer if you're using that. Into the bowl, I'm adding half a cup of room temperature butter. A finger will indent fairly easily and the butter's nice and bendy. If the butter is too warm, it won't pump enough air in. And if it's too cold, it won't mix in well. To sweeten things up, 1 cup or 200 grams of granulated sugar. Add that in, and we're gonna cream this on medium to medium high until it's combined and fluffy. So Lofthouse cookies are those beautiful, but in my opinion, not tasty cookies that are so tempting at the grocery store, often in the bakery section. It's like a nice soft sugar cookie topped with frosting and sometimes sprinkles. They're only from the 1990s. They're invented by the Lofthouse company, and I love the look of them, but I wanted to make a version that I truly enjoyed the taste of. These are like tender, chewy, and have a beautiful fresh buttercream on top. This looks nice and fluffy, so I'm gonna stop, and it's time to add some delicious things in. 1 large room temperature egg. I'm gonna crack this into a separate bowl, just so I know there's no shells hanging around. Looks good. 1½ teaspoons of vanilla extract. And this is an optional one, but a 1/4 teaspoon of almond extract really hits the spot. Very powerful, so you only wanna add in a little bit. Other optional things you could add instead would be lemon zest, orange zest, or a little like 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. We're gonna mix this in now until it's nice and combined. I wanna make sure there's no big lumps of butter lurking around. And if you're using a stand mixer, you would definitely wanna scrape the bowl down. Okay, that looks great and it smells so very good. We're gonna make these cookies even more tender with a 1/4 cup of sour cream. This will add a little bit of tang and just make them that much more delicate. That's 60 grams if you're using your scale. Mix that into. That looks great. You don't want to dump everything at the same time because that would give you like kind of a really messy mixture and it might not mix in as well. Now we're gonna add the dry mixture right into the wet. You could use your mixer on low or just go with the spatula and fold it in. If you are using the mixer, stop when it's almost combined, finish off with the spatula and scrape the bowl down. It takes a little longer when you do it by hand, but you have so much more control and you're really sure that it's not gonna be overmixed. Overmixing your cookie dough is what causes them to be tougher and have that not melt in your mouth texture. Grab some plastic wrap or some waxed fabric and we're going to pop this right onto that. You can see it's nicely mixed, there's no flour, and I'm just gonna really loosely wrap it so I can shape it into a disc. This needs to chill out for at least an hour, but you could have this in your fridge for up to 3 days before you use it. And if you wanted to, you could just pop this into the freezer, really well wrapped in a freezer bag, and it'll last for a few months. Okay. Towards the end of your chill time, preheat your oven to 375 so everything's ready to go. Into the fridge, and we'll be right back. My dough has chilled, the oven's at 375, and I have my rolling pin ready to go. We're gonna roll this dough out to about 1/4 inch thickness, and you wanna liberally flour your surface. I'm using a pastry mat, by the way, because it is so convenient. Nothing sticks to it, and if it's a warm day and things are getting soft for some reason, just lift the whole thing up, pop it into the fridge, and bring it out when it's nice and cool. Flour the top as well, and flour your rolling pin, then you're good to go. Ah, so nice. Try and keep your dough moving just like you would for a pastry dough. Very nice. So grab a 2.5 inch to 3 inch circle cutter, and we're gonna cut our cookies. Just pop those onto a rimmed baking sheet with some parchment paper or a silpat. And by the way, you can totally flour your cookie cutter in between cuts. Things will release more easily that way. Pop it out and place it down. These cookies really don't spread much, so you don't need 2 inches apart, but they do want some air circulating in between them, so make sure they're not touching. I am always like, my eye is so caught by the grocery store version of these that I had to make my own recipe. And they're gonna come out so pretty, perfect for parties, but they're delicious. Of course, you can roll your scraps out. Again, you don't want to waste any flour. And don't worry if there's like a little bit of like imperfection on top of these cookies, you're covering them in frosting. Re-roll the scraps together, cut the rest of the cookies out, and once that's done, these are ready to go into the oven. My cookies are ready to go into the oven, 375 for 8 to 9 minutes until the edges are just taking on some color. While they bake, we'll make our easy frosting. In you go. My cookies have baked and cooled, so it's time to make a delicious but really easy buttercream frosting to top them off with. Half a cup of butter, room temperature please, into a medium bowl. Not wasting any butter. We're gonna cream this up so it is ready to accept the sugar. Sometimes you think, oh, this is room temperature, it's great. But then it's actually a little bit cold. Creaming your butter is like your safety. It gives you a little bit of assurance that all the butter is nice and soft. That only works if your butter is a little cold. It doesn't work if it's rock hard. Onto the scale we go. Zero it out. Now we're gonna add 2 cups of powdered sugar. That's 240 grams. If I was piping this out, I would be sifting the powdered sugar, but this is not a big deal. That's fine. It was just a little bit more sugar than I needed. 240 grams, I said? Perfect. It looked like more sugar than it was. Okay, I also want a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Lofthouse cookies, like in my mind, have to be pink, so you can leave these plain. You could add whichever color you'd like, but I'm gonna add just a little bit of color to get this started. We can add more later as needed, but I wanna like just kind of give it a head start. This is gel food coloring, which is the most concentrated dye possible, so you always use like a little tiny bit. Sometimes I just dip a toothpick in and give it a swipe. Okay. While this is mixing, I'm gonna drizzle in a tablespoon or 2 of milk. That was so satisfying seeing it turn pink, but that's a little bit lighter than I'd like, so I'm gonna add some more. This will be very pink now, I believe. Okay. Lovely. This on a cookie, gonna be cute. Okay, my buttercream is done, so are the cookies. Let's assemble, and while we're at it, I think you should grab some sprinkles too. You might even want to grab a child who has been standing at the ready asking if he can help. 2 helpers wanted to come. Boys, come on over. Okay, so here's the deal. I'll do one, then it's your turn, okay?
Okay.
So you grab like a tablespoon of frosting. You swipe it onto the center, okay? And then you want to turn it around so you have a circle of frosting in the middle, like that.
Yeah, then what? Then you add sprinkles
And
on,
then you add some sprinkles.
Then you
And then it goes
it.
onto the plate.
Then you
All right.
eat it. Wow, very easy.
Let's try it out. G?
Dang that cookie, I want to eat it.
So let me see how you guys do.
To be the first to eat it.
Okay, I'm very excited. You? Ultimate concentration.
I think that was a bit too little.
It is a little trickier than it looks getting it to be a nice round. It doesn't have to be perfect though, you're making your own cookie, but it's gonna be delicious anyway. Once you think you're ready, you can add the sprinkles on.
Somebody say something about sprinkles?
Sprinkles, and then just do it over the bowl so they go back in. Sprinkle it on top.
I think that needs a bit more.
Okay, that looks good. Set that aside. George, give it your time.
Who think this looks like the most yummiest cookies in the world?
Okay, those look nice. Do you want to eat these now or later, like after dinner?
Now!
I see. Repeat this process with the remaining cookies and frosting, and just like that, they're ready to enjoy. Let's take a bite. That is a delicious cookie. What do you think, guys? Your Lofthouse cookies will last up to a week in an airtight container in the refrigerator, or up to 2 months if frozen, but you should freeze them without the frosting on top. Thaw and then frost before serving. Soft, creamy, melt in your mouth, like tons of vanilla flavor coming through. This is a winner. I hope you get a chance to make this easy and delicious recipe, and if you like my videos, hit that subscribe button and check out my cookie playlist. Bye.
Bye.